Oh man, I need to just really, I should have had. Oh, no, I was gonna say I should have had a 5-hour energy, but no, then I would be up all night.
Give me a break. Give me a break. We're not sponsored by Kit Kat, but of course you could if you wanted to, Kit Kat. I'm
Yeah,
not putting it past
and we're not making ourselves, we're not closing ourselves off.
you. We're not above that ad dollar.
No, we're happy to be bought for the right price.
For the right price. Oh, it makes us sound like we're corporate shells. So I'm gonna do a quick share across
We
the
are
interwebs.
Mongo only pawn in corporate chess game of life.
Wait, what? Where's that from?
That's from Blazing Saddles.
Oh, gosh. Yes, you are. Yeah, yeah. Alright, folks. I'm just going to share with the world here in a moment, and we should be good to go. Of course, if you're watching and want to tell your friends what we're about to talk about, we'd always appreciate it. Bum, bum, bum. Ba-da-da-da-da-da. Ba-ba-ba-ba.
Oh,
Yeah.
I thought you were doing I'm Loving It.
You know what? That's fair. You it's not your fault. Yes, leave that page. Yep. Okay. Internet wants to be weird. All right. They need an intro. This week on the Commander Shipp Show, we'll be discussing our favorite comfort movies. So these are the ones that we can go to anytime, pop it into your VHS player. No, I'm kidding.
Adjust the tracking.
just the tracking, and have a good time. Or if you're having a down day, you can always watch this and feel comforted or feel like reassured of the world, no matter what's going on. And and sometimes it's just nice to have something that you don't have to think about. You know, something that you can quote. You know, just bust out in that way. So, our news topics for today, we will be discussing WandaVision episode 5, so we will give you a big flash of spoilers, a little ticker will come across the screen, give you a heads up, finally. I was like, hey.
Oh, good. You got the stinger?
It's simply a text. There will be a ticker, though, that will eventually tell you, it'll kind of come across the screen, keep saying, like, spoiler, but this will just be a text box to give you a spoiler. So if you don't want to know WandaVision, and I also am going to project some things that could happen, because there's some possibilities out there, so we'll talk about those as well. And then during the Super Bowl, we're not talking sports ball here, but the new trailer for Falcon and the Winter Soldier came out. And while there's some things that have already been out there, there's a couple new things that got dropped in there, so we want to talk about that. And unfortunately, we have some ugly business to talk about as well. The Joss Whedon allegations that have been reconfirmed, and more information coming out, more co-stars and people that had worked with him throughout the years, particularly on the Buffy and Angel set. I'm not saying that the other allegations are not significant, but I think if we're talking about pop culture sway and things that will get people to really, like, if you've been ignoring it, not paying attention, things that will really get people's attention is hearing from those two sets. So I think it's really important that we dive into that. And but that is going to be the Commander Shipp Show today. So first off, Tom, how are you doing?
I'm just ducky. Just did a photo shoot this weekend and feeling good about it, and almost done going through editing 2,000 photos from that.
Wow. That's rough. And I thought posting a couple hundred DVDs on the eBay was rough. Now that's at least I have forms that I can copy and paste on that. Yeah.
So yeah, hopefully it'll turn out great.
I have been having fun with the Lumix, so I've been fun dying at it.
Good.
So if you'll notice, the room we are so close. The connection's good on the the connection's good on the computer. I just got to figure out a few more lighting things, and we will be good to go. So I hopefully be recording some of the video essays I've been teasing for a while on that very soon, and then hopefully for show stuff you can see it, but it's not really behind me, so hopefully we'll have that ready to go. So I'm excited about that.
I am too. Yeah, and actually this weekend I'm going to be doing my first film, which is an ambitious attempt at a mockery variety hour show with burlesque dancers.
All right.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully it's ambitious, but hopefully won't be complete rubbish.
Yeah. Taryn saying, so now it's just Tom, no title. I have the title. This week is going to be Inquisitor. Okay?
God.
All right. It is a mouthful, so I'm only going to say it, Inquisitor Tom. I'm going to say it now, and I'll say it at the end of the show. Otherwise, it'll be major in between.
Oh.
We never said I had to keep saying it the entire show, because otherwise, you don't want to see kind of tongue-tied like that. Nobody knows. No one's interested in that.
Talking about a Tom. The Inquisition. Let me begin.
The first up on the docket. So again, we always talk our news stories first before we get to our main topics. The word has gotten out that Jason Momoa has been offered the role of Knuckles in Sonic the Hedgehog 2. I don't know if they're just going for the echidna dreaded look with Momoa, even though it's a voice role, so I don't know what they're thinking there. But no word yet as to whether he's accepted the role. Tom, how do you think about Momoa as a fit for Knuckles?
I mean, listen, if Vin Diesel can play Groot, why not? Maybe this is just the beginning. Just like Vin Diesel did, what was that, Iron Giant. And, I'll be kind of curious to see if that pans out, two, what that would be. Because, I just never imagined any Sonic character having the type of voice that Momoa has, or Vin Diesel for that matter.
Yeah, it's not the first thing I think of. Well, actually, I say the only thing, the tough guy feel a little bit of Knuckles, especially in Sonic Adventure. So I know we don't talk a ton of games on this show, but if you remember playing Sonic Adventure on your GameCube or a Dreamcast when it originally came out, there's a little bit of that bravado, but like we've lovingly or annoyingly joked on this show about him having to being the dude bro.
Yes.
On there, I don't quite get that feel from Knuckles, so I think that's where it's a little weird for me.
I always imagine Knuckles to be goofy, angry, with a Brooklyn accent. Because, it's Knuckles. Or Knuckles. A period, a 1930s period, not mid-Atlantic accent of some type. Mm-hmm. I'm going to go steal your coins now.
Not the coins, the emerald. Chaos emeralds, all right? Get it right.
And rings.
They don't have coins. They don't have coins in Sonic. Get it? Come on.
I am out of touch.
It's all right. It's okay.
No, it must be the children.
It must be the children. Tom, do you know who this is your namesake, Tom Scarpling, is?
No.
All right. So he's been a voice actor quite a bit on Aqua Teen Hunger Force. Also plays the voice of Greg Universe on Steven Universe. And he's had 2 scenes. He's had a scene in the first Ant-Man and a scene in Ant-Man and the Wasp. And they've been cut by director Peyton Reed. And today Peyton said, you know what? I think I can get Tom Scarpling into this next. I think I can get him into Quantumania, which also I did not know that was the title for Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Okay, can we talk about what is this, Phase 4? And the ridiculousness of all their titles? Thor: Love and Thunder, Quantumania, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse.
Get into that weird Jack Kirby space. Get into weird space time. Yeah.
All right.
I just like it being called Quantumania. Oh, excuse me. To pick on the joke from the second movie, where he's like, "Do you guys just put quantum in front of everything? Is that what's going on here? Does it actually mean anything?" So that's why I like it. But you're not wrong. They are kind of getting long in the tooth.
Yes, and also, but here's an opportunity for Ant-Man to be like Quantumania. And
so long as I get a Hulkmania style shirt, Quantumania, I can just like, oh, brother, just like that. But good luck, Tom Scarpling. Hopefully Peyton will not be mean to you and actually include your scene in the movie this time and not just as a deleted scene.
Or maybe it'll be kind of like, oh man, names are escaping me today. Matt Damon on Jimmy Kimmel's show, like the first 3 or 4 seasons. He would just say, "My apologies to Matt Damon, we didn't have time for you tonight." And then when he finally got on, they had him as the last person. Ladies and gentlemen, sorry. Thank you, Matt Damon, for joining us. We don't have time. Like, he literally just sat down and they close out the show.
Yeah.
So,
perfect.
If he's not in it, then that's what I want to see.
And it's such a, like, I was trying to see if they'd work together, and I believe so, but I just, I was like, gosh, to do that to a voice actor that already doesn't get screen time as it is, part of me was kind of like, man, that's kind of sucks. I mean, I get it. There's legitimate reasons to cut him out. It's not like he was just doing it on purpose. It was like, that scene just doesn't fit. And then the second time, you put him in another scene, you're like, crap. that one doesn't work either. Or maybe just have him voice a computer in the show or something, in the movie, just to get him in there.
Yeah.
All right. But yeah, a little bit of fun, a little lightheartedness. All right. So if you liked the Ice Age movies, Blue Sky Studios, the ones that did that, their status had been kind of up in the air a little bit from the Disney merger. So they had been owned by Fox. So when Disney bought them, we weren't quite sure what was going to happen. So that studio will be closing, and some of their talent getting a little bit shifted, like some of them getting shifted over to some of the Disney animation studios, and or getting severances and going to different companies.
It's a shame that this is shutting down, but that kind of makes sense. No one's going to give up Pixar for Blue Sky, but
all right.
Hopefully,
now, some things that they were already. So some things that are a little sad though. So there was an Ice Age character show or series that's going to come on Disney Plus. So that's still happening. So whatever work they're doing towards that, if they're getting shifted over to do some of the different Disney studio offices and departments, they'll still get to finish that one. But there were some projects that had gotten greenlit, like Monoma, which I'm not. Let's see. Followed a young shapeshifter who teams with a mad scientist called Lord Ballister Blackheart to expose the ruler of the kingdom. Tom, I don't know what that means.
No. And once again, it's the children that are out of touch. And
it ain't our fault. No, I'm just joking. So yeah, and then unfortunately, part of it is a little COVID related, just because it was a little bit too many pots to handle, which is a little weird to be saying for Disney. But I think it may just be coming from the Fox merger of things, because they already took on a debt load when they brought on Fox. Now, did it actually hurt Disney, so to speak? Yeah. But maybe when they were looking at what Fox, outside of the Marvel stuff was giving them, and like the other TV show properties, maybe they're looking at some of these things and saying like, this just isn't enough or isn't warranted. because Spies in Disguise. Let's see. Or sorry, not Spies in Disguise. Spies in Disguise.
In Disguise.
Which was Will Smith and Tom Holland. They were hoping that would spin off and give them like a sequel and make it into like a little trilogy. And that did not end up happening because a lot of people just didn't like that movie when it came out toward the end of 2019. So, unfortunately, they kind of put
Actually,
Blue
I
Sky
didn't even remember that.
Yeah, I mean, you get Will Smith in a cartoon and you turn him into a bird. Get into that black transformation trip.
Oh, yes. Okay. Yes, I do vaguely remember that now. Okay. Why did that? Yeah.
Yeah, it's very unfortunate. But yeah, so that was one of their last big projects, and it did not do very well. So yeah, it's not a good look there, fam. Not a good look. Something that is a little more exciting though.
Yeah.
Did you read the Redwall series?
I did not.
You did not.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, it may not have been in your childhood time period. Like, but this is a series. Actually, I think Mouse Flower was the sequel. So Redwall is the Matthias, the little mouse taken after the legendary warrior Martin the warrior, and you yawning over there. What's going on over there? So, okay. Yeah, and defends Redwall from, I can't remember who the villain was in this. I can't remember who the villain was in this movie. Not movie, but in that book. But train of thought. Get the train of thought.
Yes. Redwall.
Redwall. Yes. So
Netflix.
book series was doing really well. It's got a long. You can go check that out by Brian Jake. It's got a long component to it and a lot of different spin-offs and things like that. So definitely worth your time checking it out. But there's going to be a TV series brought on. I was like, I am hearing things, aren't I? I'm like, I'm not great. We'll let the dog have its fun. We'll let her have her fun on the bed. Sorry, but you're kind of like hearing it through the headphone. I'm like, what is going on? You gonna fall off the bed there?
Please do.
Okay.
That's good TV.
Now it's completely out of frame. Okay. So this is becoming on Netflix by showrunner Patrick McHale. And actually, let me double check the date.
If he's related to Joel McHale?
No. Let's see. But that would be coming sometime later next year. So it'd be a Redwall movie, and then we would get a Redwall TV series. And if you remember, Redwall was made into a TV series on PBS, but this would be getting past just the Redwall book and getting into more of the other spin-off books and stuff as well. So there's been other things you've been like really looking forward to in this series. It may come to fruition with this deal.
Nice.
Cool.
I think that Netflix. I like this, even though I'm not familiar with it. I like the fact that Netflix has taken another risk on a book, like an interesting book series.
Yeah, let more book series come to life on Netflix because Netflix has got that Netflix money, and it's not a bad opportunity for them to like. Well, then we're gonna run into the other issue where Netflix, if it is successful and you get a couple seasons in, then Netflix is like, oh no, now I need to pull the plug.
No, this is too successful. A lot of people are liking this. We need to dial it back.
And I'll see if we have time. There's a thread that happened on my wall this past week, and I wouldn't mind talking about it. It is related to this topic, but I don't want to jump into it right now, so we'll keep going for the news. But
sure.
I'll put it in my notes and see if we have time to get to it. So, do you want a live-action Hercules?
Another one?
Another one.
Is this also going to have The Rock?
I don't know. It's a good question. The Russo brothers are behind it, though.
I don't think it'll have The Rock.
Yeah. So, they said they gave us an update. I was reading through it. I was like, that's not details. That's just you giving us a little bit of your philosophy. And it's not a bad. They are talking about how much care they want to put into it just because they've enjoyed the Hercules story or mythology as kids. They know there's a lot of appreciation from younger moviegoers or like people that are getting to like their 30s and 40s now that watched the animated Hercules or have experienced like the Kevin Sorbo Hercules. So like they're very conscious of that as they're making this next story. So while there's not really any big nugget drops of like, we're gonna do this and we're gonna make sure we cover this story. I will give them kudos on that. It's like it may not have been the update I thought I was gonna get, but I do appreciate that attention to. It's like we want to make sure we really craft a story that's worthy of your time, given how much this has been recovered. It's like why would you want to watch another Hercules? We want to make sure we actually give you a reason to latch into it.
Especially one with Sam Sorbo in it. Or I'm sorry, Kevin Sorbo. Sam Sorbo is his wife.
Because he's turned into such a character.
Character is the right word, but also because like. Hercules, along with Xena, and along with like Earth Final Conflict and Time Tracks and Cleopatra 2525, they're all kind of that like B to C level sci-fi and fantasy that we really don't need to look back as to help inform us into how to make a film. I'm sorry, that's just.
But again, I don't think it was necessary to inform. I think it's just more of like a being cognizant of what people have seen, and maybe they'll look at those shows and be like, "Oh, y'all did not do a good job on some of this." So maybe that will be a motivation to be like, "We want to be able to tell this better if we tackle this piece, or we get into like Ares, or maybe we'll get a Xena appearance." I would be down for that.
I mean, as much as I am not fond of Kevin Sorbo's politics, I wouldn't mind him having a cameo along with Xena and The Rock and whoever else has played some Hercules adjacent.
It would be a nice nod. It would be a nice nod. Cool. All right. Well, folks, we told you those coronavirus movies were coming, and we have an update. So Judd Apatow is doing a movie called The Bubble, which will follow a group of actors stuck in a hotel while trying to make a movie amid a pandemic. Netflix has picked it up and reportedly fast-tracked it, but we have no release date as of yet. And one of the big announcements this week was Pedro Pascal getting cast in it. Joining the likes of Karen Gillan, Fred Armisen, Leslie Mann, Keegan-Michael Key of Key and Peele, Iris Apatow, David Duchovny, the old Duchovny himself.
Duchovny?
Yes.
You're gonna duke up this film? All right.
And then was it Peter Safranowicz?
And Apatow is really starting to make. I mean, he always has, but even deeper. These films are becoming a family affair with both Leslie Mann and Iris Apatow. That's pretty crazy. I'm guessing that Pedro Pascal is going to be a bit awkward, and then he's going to be in love with Karen, and there's going to be some confusion about halfway through. Karen's going to be angry with him, and then he's going to do something to make up with her.
Yes, naturally.
Yes.
All right.
I do want to send a quick shout out to Pedro Pascal because Pedro was very cool about, and I forgot the notes.
Hold on, I'll pull it up right now.
1 second. Yeah, he was very cool to his sister now. Yes, sister. Lux, who came out as his sister Lux, and apparently. It mentions that Pedro gave a talking to Gina, his co-star on The Mandalorian, about her conversations about trans people and her attitude. Yeah. So
I'm surprised she still has a job. I'll go ahead.
I'm putting money that maybe she won't show up in season 3.
It's like. Of all the things that have happened in the past couple years and that Disney has come slam the hammer down on, it's just surprising that they haven't come out stronger on this.
I don't know, because like there's a part of me that thinks that Disney is still monstrous enough that they're not quite, but close. I would almost put money that they would more likely fire somebody for coming up as trans than they would for firing somebody who came out as
made Twitter jokes about it. Oh,
yeah.
Gosh.
I mean, yeah.
Fucking Disney. Blah. Blah. All right.
If Hannah Montana turned into Hank Montana, I think Disney would have had problems with that.
Yeah, I think so. Because
definitely during the period.
The family friendly. I mean, they lost their mind with the Wrecking Ball.
Yeah,
I don't know
they
how
did.
So let me go back to a few comments. No one's paying attention to you, sir. Oh, because of Lanai. Thanks a lot, Peppers. You're over there thrashing on the bed, distracting all the viewers. Example of chewing the scenery and stealing the show. Yeah. Can we have Ryan Gosling as a grown-up Hercules, please? What? What?
Yeah.
I guess from the looks of... No. No, that's not what I think of when I think of Hercules. All right. You know, and actually, I wouldn't mind if we got to some bigger body types in that. You know, it's always got to be, like... Not that I don't appreciate The Rock's physique, but we could, like... Give me someone like The Mountain. You know. Or,
yeah.
Just give me someone like the, like, heavy clean and lift athletes. Or give me some of the Russian slap competition guys.
And then he'll have that believable Greek-Russian accent.
Yeah, see? And if you have no idea what I'm talking about, go look up a slap competition on YouTube. It is as insane as you think it is. And I probably am still not doing it justice.
Yeah, that's the amazing thing about Russia. They don't have toxic masculinity. They have radioactive masculinity.
Yeah.
Thanks, Chernobyl.
Let's see. Now saying he was in Hercules. What do you mean he was in Hercules? Was he the voice of Hercules in animated? And I'm just forgetting that? That could be what I'm forgetting.
No, Gosling, he would have been too young.
That's what I was going to say. I don't think...
Or was he in Hercules with Kevin Sorbo?
No, he was in
Oh, he was in the Rock.
Young. He was young Hercules. He was young. I think he was young Hercules on Fox. It was like that kind of little like Fox Kids spinoff from the Sorbo Hercules.
I'm gonna go quickly.
You go double check that. If not, it's some other white dude that's very Ryan Gosling adjacent.
No, he was in Hercules, the Legendary Journeys, and then he was young Hercules.
Okay. So he was in both.
Yeah, he was in one episode of Sorbo Hercules.
Okay. I was like, as soon as Nell said it, I was kind of like, what are you? And then like, I'm like, it's in the back of the brain there a little bit. All right. Excellent job there, Nell.
Yes. I'm glad your thirstiness for Ryan has informed us.
Hey, Tom, sometimes you follow the first, and it will provide.
Yes.
Okay.
And sometimes you gotta quench that thirst.
My head can't tilt any further. That is the max head tilt that I can give you.
And we don't trust you.
It wasn't a matter of trust. My brain was incongruent for a moment. All right, I'm sorry I don't have like young Gosling quotes just like tattooed to my back. All right. Even my moody movie encyclopedia could stall or like have lag. All right. All right. What do we have coming up next? All right.
Ooh.
Karen Gillan and Palm Kimatoff, play Nebula and Mantis respectively, have left Australia. So most likely they have finished their filming for Thor: Love and Thunder. That did not give us details on whether the filming as a whole has completed. So there could still be some other principal photography that needs to be completed. But that's a good sign. Like they left because like they're done. They're not leaving because of like COVID issues or like staying home or different things like that. So it's showing that like, hey, they're like getting that done, getting that on time. So hopefully that will still be able to come out later in the year. You know, get the CGI done during the summer, and so that's looking pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know what the other Asgardians of the Galaxy are doing in this movie. You know, I kind of get the general beads of like Thor and Jane figuring out what's going on with her power as she becomes Lady Thor, but I'm just very curious. Like, maybe I guess the Guardians are with him because of being after Endgame, and maybe they have to come back to Earth because
he left with the Guardians after Endgame, so probably hilarity ensues in the galaxy, and Thor has to come back, and then Lady Thor starts to happen.
Yeah, but I guess the thing that's interesting to me is I have not heard anything about Chris Pratt, Zoe Saldana, Dave Bautista at all, and during these shots.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming the team gets split at some point. You know, or maybe they come back on the Milano on their own, and like, because they've still got that other ship that they took from can't remember the dang it, Ravagers.
Yeah.
So they've still got that ship. So I'm assuming they do have the actual ability to split off if they needed to. So yeah, again, maybe they come back into Milano and then come back to Earth to do something with Lady Thor. You know, because Asgard is like there ain't nothing to come back to. Like it's
in Finland. So.
Oh yes, sorry. Yes, it is.
And though one thing that now, thanks to WandaVision, I kind of want that Thor Guardians mixture, because I want Peter or Star-Lord to try and throw game at Darcy.
Wait, you want what?
Yes, I want Star-Lord to start flirting with Darcy.
Because I'm sure that'll go well.
Exactly. Yeah, like I could already see her saying, "You're kind of cute, but what about muscles over here?" Oh, Darcy. So, you know what else we need? Oh, I'm not hearing you.
Oh, my bad. Sorry. I was gonna say, isn't that kind of part of the? Because she's with her boyfriend, whoever it was, at the end of Dark World, right?
Oh yeah, was he a scientist as well? Or no, he was her intern.
That's it. That was it.
Yep.
It wasn't. I think they ended up making it or something like that. But yeah, it was more.
Yeah.
Her intern.
I could totally see her be like shrugging it. It was the heat of the moment, the end of the world. You know.
All right. What do we got?
Got a little something for myself before the end.
All right. We are big fans of. We are big fans of. I know I'm a big fan of Watchmen on HBO.
Yes.
Okay. So sorry. It's like it's been a while since we talked about that. So we are big fans of Watchmen on this show, and so Nicole Castle directed several episodes of that. So again, even though Damon Lindelof was the showrunner, Castle ended up directing a lot of those episodes. So she's gonna be taking on, and this is a little bit of a like you're kind of going to some sacred old Hollywood.
Yes.
Like this is a little bit different than just doing any kind of remake. So I was a little bit like, I don't know about this one, but Castle's been tapped to do a Wizard of Oz remake, and go ahead, Tom. I don't know how I feel about it.
I don't. I guess the question I have, whenever somebody is trying to retell a story, I always think, what are you trying to retell? Because, like, this is just the Wizard of Oz. It's going to have a modern, edgy, whatever. I don't know. But, like, when The Wiz was telling a very specific story, right? That was telling a very different perspective. And I don't know what was missing from the Wizard of Oz that we really need to stop and be like, let's redo that one. That one needs to be fixed.
Well, I guess the things that if you've read the Oz books, as much as I love the original Wizard of Oz, the Judy Garland, like the classic, like I get it. That is a fun, but there's a lot of cool little like asides, and like the whole universe of Oz is really in depth and intricate, and we don't get to see that a lot. Like we see there's Return to Oz, not Veruca Salt, it was Bobby Boucher's. Can't remember her name on the Water Boy. It was when she was a little girl. She ended up playing in the Return from Oz. I can't remember.
Oh yeah, Fiza something.
She was like in The Craft and a bunch of '90s movies before. So like there have been some and like there's been like an NBC show, Emerald City. So there have been attempts at trying to expand and talk about the other things. So if they do a remake, I actually would kind of prefer like. Even if you're going to retread the original story, get into some of the other things that are in the book that just didn't get talked about in the original movie, and that would be interesting to me. But if you are going to just do a straight up remake, I'm just not. To your point, I'm not interested in that. And why touch it? Like why?
Yep. It is. I'm still not going to be able to pronounce this right. Fairuza Balk.
Okay, but yeah, that's why I always want. That's why I was like Veruca Salt was the first thing that popped in my head. It's like that is not her name. Cool.
All right, I regain a mispronunciation voucher for that one.
Yeah. All right. So, folks, before we go into our main topics, remember, you can always be following Nerd Union on Twitch, so make sure you subscribe to us there to get notifications whenever we go live here at the Commander Shipp Show, or any number of our shows, like tomorrow night, when we'll be talking Babylon 5, and doing some comparisons between that and Deep Space Nine. Our nerd or sci-fi show, Red Shirt Rejects, will be back on Thursday nights, kind of like every other week, talking mainly Star Trek, but they are going to go into some other sci-fi shows. So if you want to get notifications on when that show starts, it's slated for 8 p.m. Central. So again, get your notifications on Twitch, sign up and follow us on Facebook. So always that subscribe button will keep you informed. All right. So we had some trailers drop. We watched the trailer on State of Nerd Union. We won't play it again here. Hopefully folks have seen it, but if not, after this, go jump on YouTube and watch the Falcon and the Winter Soldier trailer. You're looking for the one from the Super Bowl because there has already been one trailer that was out, so you're looking for the newest one. And while there was some retread of material that we saw, we got a little bit more of looking at Sam and Bucky's relationship. And Tom, I'm quite excited.
It's I'm hoping that it is more just them throwing shade back and forth at each other. Also, it looks like there's going to be some fun back and forth about the shield, because Bucky knows how to use it, and Sam's trying to figure it out.
Because there's a lot of shots of him that just so some things that stand out that we haven't talked about, I guess even from the last trailer, is that he's still in the Falcon color scheme.
Yep, and he's still the Falcon.
He's still, he hasn't changed his color scheme like he does in the comics, where he goes tries to go more in line of Cap. And Anthony Mackie made a good comment in an interview a couple days before the trailer dropped of, some things you're going to see in this trailer, or the things you're going to see in the show, is that yes, he accepted the shield, but he hasn't really taken on the mantle yet. You saw he was hesitant to even take the shield when he was taking it from Cap. He's like, that didn't just evaporate because Cap said you're good. It was like, and then stuff gets complicated, as we see in the trailer. There's a character being called U.S. Agent, which I think is the laziest name in the world. I get
U.S. Agent was always just Captain America, but in a grayscale suit, as opposed to red, white, and blue suit.
Yeah, so he's you see him having like the high five, and it's at the parade, or like at the whatever stadium show or thing that happens there. Sharon Carter is back.
Yep.
which is also because we had not seen her up until this point. We known she'd been cast, but we'd not seen her up until this point, and she's taking down some fools. And I can't tell if she's happy to see Sam or Bucky. That's kind of like there's some general like camaraderie there a little bit, but they might be on opposite sides of the law.
Oh man, I just had a thought. Okay. No, this has nothing to do with well, kind of. No, this has to do with Sharon Carter.
Okay, go ahead.
Because he goes back in time and then marries Peggy, presumably, or lives a life with Peggy, presumably.
Yeah.
Do you think they lived it in such secret that Sharon didn't recognize her uncle?
Y'all keep messing the
in
time
which she
up.
made out with him?
Y'all keep messing the time up. So y'all don't understand. Y'all keep messing the time up. Y'all don't understand. Okay. Y'all. Captain America didn't sit his ass around doing nothing, and he's not in the same timeline. It is a separate timeline. Him and Peggy being married, that's great. It's awesome. But it doesn't affect our timeline because all he has to do is give the stone back at the end, and it will eliminate that timeline. And then he jumps back to where he meets Sam on the bench, and he's golden.
He didn't jump back.
Yes,
he did not jump back. He lived back.
No,
he lived through that.
He doesn't have to. He can live. Sorry. I can't believe I have to go. Look.
Yeah, you do, because apparently I'm too dumb to understand this.
All right. We know that the time will not reset until he leaves the. So, and they say this in the Hulk gives this explanation. And so we get to see it twice. We get to see that, like, you can't affect your future that way. Like, your future's going to branch, with the exception of going back. And then again, that's still going to be another, it's going to be a branch. There's still going to be some issues there. But the way I can succinctly say it, the Ancient One talks about the Time Stone, and it's like, until the Time Stone's put back, this branch is still going to exist. So theoretically, Cap can live his life with Peggy and then put the Time Stone back at that point in New York during the Battle of New York, and then go on from there. So he could live, and it won't affect our timeline. His timeline with Peggy will get closed off, and it'll be like nothing ever happened. He still gets to live his life, but it doesn't affect our timeline.
Are you asserting that he lived with Peggy until the Battle of New York, then walked up, and as soon as the Hulk walked away with the Time Stone, he handed it to her, and then wiped away everything that happened between him and Peggy, and he still stayed there and lived out the rest of his years as an old man until he could meet up with the Hulk and Sam and such?
Sure. I mean, he took extra. He's got as many vials of the quantum juice or crystals, whatever the hell they're calling it, as he needs.
The quantum juice. You're just putting quantum
juice.
in front of. Just putting quantum in front of things again.
Exactly.
I don't agree with this. This seems very simplified, and
I can break it down more. I don't want to take too much show time to go into that, but it drives me nuts that everyone thinks that Cap was just sitting there like, ooh, man, what's today? 9/11, 2011, 2001, okay, all right. No. I don't think that happened. And again, the branching timelines that the Ancient One talks about gives it an out. I'm not saying the movie's perfect, because the movie is messy. This is why bringing time. Let's say it again, folks. This might be another T-shirt. Time travel is stupid. I don't mind it in movies, but I have to kind of suspend logic to let it work, because you think about it too much, you get into situations like this.
Yeah, especially for movies, time travel is stupid because you don't have the time to get through the time.
You don't have the time to.
You just don't have the time. We don't have time to talk about time.
Uh,
Thank you, Deanna Troy.
We don't have time to talk about time. Gigawatts! Alright, so Baron Zemo's back. And anytime we get Danny Bruhl back in a film, or I guess when he says his correct name, Daniel Bruhl, getting him back into a film, I'm really excited. Because I kind of was like, I thought Zemo was done after Civil War, but he is stating that he's not going to let his unfinished business go, he's not going to let his business go unfinished, is what he says. Now, yeah. I don't know who he's talking to. That's kind of an interesting thing there, because so far as we know, he was a Sokovian military operative. He wasn't he wasn't associated with Hydra in that way. So, and we know Baron Strucker's gone, right? So, like, we don't have a connection there. So, like, I don't know. Again, we didn't see him having anyone over him in Civil War. It seemed very much it working independently. So, but that definitely wasn't him talking to himself. Or, who knows? Maybe we'll find out he's been in a prison cell talking to himself anyway, or talking to another inmate or something. Who knows? But that's the thing in the back of my mind. I'm like, okay. It's interesting that you're back, but you're talking to someone. Okay. I'll keep an eye out for that. And then, some things I think. So we talked about Sharon Carter. Maybe he's not quite on Sam and Bucky's side. And this is the thing we're going to talk about in WandaVision, a thing I think people keep forgetting as well, which at least gives the decisions that Sword made in his previous episode a little more credence, is that regardless of what happened at the end of, at Endgame, they are still fugitives. It's like, again, the rest of the world has a loose understanding of what Thanos did. And again, the Avengers tried to communicate that, assume as best they could to the rest of the world. But all that aside for a second, the last thing they led off with was, oh, hey, remember when you let an international terrorist blow up or at least in their eyes, blow up a conference of world leaders? And it's like, I know we got that sort of resolved, but you're still on the run, and you're breaking the Sokovia Accords every time you intervene without our, even Endgame and even the end of Infinity War is still intervening without the approval of the Sokovian Accords. So
hopefully, I'm hoping that with this, and we may get a taste of this also with WandaVision because we already had a taste, is they're going to talk about post-blip politics and such like that. Because I think after the snap, I am 100% sure people are like, Sokovia Accords? What? No, I've lost half of the people that I love. I'm not worried about that right now. And I think humanity was just holding on as best they could. I mean, you saw the condition of the world as they were, going from place to place. In Endgame, there's no way that they would have just, I don't know. I think that would have been easily abandoned.
Yeah. Let me go back through some of the comments. Let's see. They both have vibranium now. Oh, that is true. Yes, Bucky's got a vibranium arm, and Sam's got a vibranium / adamantium shield. Also, yes, fun nerd note, it is not completely vibranium, because that would be a terrible idea, which I can explain more if you want, but it needs to be a mix of metals, and it's a mix of adamantium and vibranium. So you could store that in your head. Love the vibe. Emily Van Camp is back, and not related to the same timeline. Begley basically gets 2 timelines. Thank you. But again, if I need to explain it and bring out the whiteboard, I will do that. Hey, I've done that for friends to help them understand
I'm not
Primer.
Convinced.
So I'm
still not convinced.
Of course you're not. Of course.
I've watched some YouTube videos. I've done my research.
You know how much I want to be like, that's not research, but in our line of work, that technically, folks, if you are going to research something for movies, that actually would be a fair research. There's people that have done some good breakdowns of movie analysis and things like we do on our shows and stuff like that. So normally I'm like arguing with flat earthers and stuff of like, YouTube's not research, but. Sorry. Steven's saying, yes, time travel is almost never a good device. Even in novels, it's almost never done well. Yeah. It's, I will say the thing I'm looking for, I don't expect it to follow what we think of in the real world as far as time travel rules. What I'm looking for, though, is establish your rules in your universe for how this works, and then do your, and I say do your best just because, again, the track record is so poor, but do your best to follow the rules you've set in your world. So again, if you're going to be like Terminator rules or time cop rules, which are just plain silly, as South Park has told us, then fine, but try to stay like whatever you're like. Yeah, you can't do this. This doesn't go back. So there's some things that work really well, like when the Terminator says, "You can't take back complex machines." They typically, complex or mechanical object. I mean, like this is why you can't bring it.
It has to be covered. It has to be covered in organic material.
Yes. Which is why the human faction couldn't send people back with a machine gun or laser gun. But of course, the Terminator could get away with all sorts of nonsense.
Yeah, like I always wondered, why didn't they just like wrap one of those giant tanks in skin, send it back, and then just have it rip off the skin and then cause chaos?
See, you're thinking too much, Tom.
Yeah.
But maybe they don't want to ruin their own timeline.
Maybe, yeah.
Because they send a piece of...
Maybe the computers are being thoughtful.
Yes, Wanda broke a section of cords. Which... I'll save my thoughts for that one because we're about to talk Wandavision. No, saying Jeremy Bearimy to the timeline of MCU. Basically. And the Incredible Hulk is in the little I dot. So the little I dot of Jeremy Bearimy. That's where the Incredible Hulk sits in all the other pre-MCU movies. Like that Fantastic Four stick.
Oh, gosh. I was going to say it's Doctor Strange. And the time.
No, Doctor Strange is in all of the... Like, he is the Jeremy Bearimy. His Dormammu, I come to bargain. That's all. And Janet's birthday. Indeed. All right. So, we promised we were going to talk WandaVision. So, if you do not want to have WandaVision Episode 5 spoiled for you, and I also should put this caveat, we're going to speculate a little bit based on some of our comic knowledge. Things are pulled from the MCU. So if you don't want that, as much as I don't want our viewer count to go down, I appreciate y'all supporting us and like folks that are seeing us on all free platforms, on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. I am going to put the spoiler text up just so you know that this section is the spoiler. And I'm also say it again for the people that are just listening back to this instead of watching. So this is your countdown. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and we are going to get into WandaVision from the past week, episode 5, which was titled A Very Special Episode. And if y'all don't remember your sitcom history, a very special episode is usually the language they would use in a variety of ways. It could be the voiceover you would do before the sitcom that week, of like, on a very special episode of Family Ties, we're going to have guest actor come in to play uncle. Or to play
Merman is going to join and talk about drugs.
You sometimes would see it in the... You guys remember TV Guide? Sometimes you would see it in the TV Guide box. So you'd see a very special episode, and it's going to... and sometimes it wouldn't even really give you the episode title. Sometimes that literally would be it. Of like, it's more focused on the guest star that's coming in. So my sitcom nerd heart loved that. And the ending lived up to that. Lived up to that title. We'll get to that in a second. Tom, what happened? What was going on?
Well, there was continued chaos outside as people were trying to figure out what the heck they're going to do about this. Most importantly, Darcy got her coffee.
Fine.
From Jimmy Woo. And of course it was Jimmy Woo that brings it.
Yeah. And he's looking out for himself and Darcy and Monica. So they're becoming a little trio, which is going to be important hopefully after the show.
Yes, Monica recovers and finds out that her sweet 70s outfit was actually recreated out of her own Kevlar. So that they discover that that Wanda isn't creating new things, but reconstituting things that already exist into new things.
But that does lead to some questions about the twins, which Darcy rightfully is like. So we're on the same page about, again, like the outfit, because she ends up shooting the outfit in the episode to be like, oh snap, like you see the slugs crumple and they're on the ground. But to Darcy's point, she's like, did she take someone's kids? Because I mean, as far as I can tell, those kids are real, right? Yep. So like, that still remains to be seen. Like, so yes, clothing's reconstituted, like the Kevlar reconstituted into clothing, but the twins still remains to be seen. Like, how legit is that, and like how real are they? Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, and well, I mean, that also brings into that scene alone opens up the door to a lot more questions now. Now we've got, this is becoming a deeper mystery.
So
as to what's happening.
I am so glad for this episode, because it showed the things that have been driving me nuts, and again, we can relitigate whether people liked the first three or thought it was too slow. But when I talk about there's things to pay attention to in the first three episodes that are getting paid off, and people are going off of the obvious things that happen. I'm talking about the sitcom characters. So I know people were focused on like, oh, they're kind of going to old, like in the old stereotypes and things like that for sitcoms. I'm like, okay, but why are they doing that? I'm not just talking about like, yeah, we can talk about like, but why are they doing it? Why are they going along with this? Like, why would, even though now we know it's not an outside agency doing this, but even if it were, like, why did they pick that? Why are they playing? Why did they create this world? Now we don't need to have answers to that yet, so that's true. We still don't know exactly why Wanda has picked this particular, like, in this progression. But the people that are acting, they were off, and particularly Catherine Hahn's character, when she finally has the moment of like, hey, you want me to do that again? I've been feeling off about her since the first three episodes. Oh, yeah. I'm like, no. Everyone else is kind of stuck in this. There's something you know more than you're letting on, and she does that again when she's with the I think Norm. I think is not Norm. Norm's the other character that we'll get with Vision in a second, but the guy that's like cutting the bushes. It's like, no, I knew it. It's like, you know more than you're letting on. And then when she does that scene, I'm like, she may not have came out and said, ha, I know I have a bigger hand in this than you realize. It's like, but I don't trust you anymore, Agnes. Or should I say Agatha Harkness? Maybe. We'll see. If you don't know who Agatha Harkness is, she's a original Salem trial witch, at least in the MCU universe of the Salem trials being an actual witches and not fakeness like we know it in our real world. Agatha Harkness survives that, being an actual witch sorceress, and has mentored Scarlet Witch in the comics. So Agnes is short for Agatha.
Yep. So again,
I'm not saying that's gonna be it, but as soon as she confirmed that she knows more in that scene, I'm sorry, my radar has been in the back of my head. It's going off. I'm like, come on, people, catch up. Even if you don't know all that background, she's sus. She's sus. Sorry. Go ahead, Tom. I just had to get that out of my system.
I can't even follow that. What do I do with that? I might as well just switch gears and go into my unintended consequences about the blip that Tina Davis reminded me of, and we were talking about last week.
Okay. I guess let me do one more thing that's related to the characters, and then jump into the blip stuff. So, Norm, Vision touches him and ends up helping him get reconnected back to his memories, and it's like, what am I doing here? And then ends up cutting that back off. So, I didn't call him out specifically, but he does confirm feelings I'd had about the rest of the town, and that's why I kept saying like Stepford Wives and other And the reason why, even though I said Truman Show a lot as a reference to this, but in the Truman Show, the actors show cracks because they know they are putting on a facade. So, and you've seen that in other, like, not necessarily body snatching shows, but like any kind of like, we can still stay in the MCU. When the nurse that's watching over Cap screws up, and so there's the Dodgers game that's like got the wrong score, and she ends up giving up some tells of like, you are putting on a show, like this is not real. So we can stay in the MCU. I don't have to go to outside media. We can stay in the MCU and be like, that felt like you were covering up a particular thing. I got Stepford Wives feel from these characters from the first 3 episodes of like, there's something wrong with you. You're not like, and again, like the That 70s Show mom, I can't remember. I'll pull up the actor's name in a second. But it's like, you're not. You wouldn't actually be repeating that. There's something wrong with you. Something's wrong with you. And the fact that Vision and Wanda can just go about business like nothing happened, like there's something else. It's more than just agency. So when Norm gets pulled out of that, I was like, sorry. Okay. I'll stop.
Yes.
But
by the way, it's Deborah Jo Rupp.
Yes. Thank you.
And yes. So,
I'm sorry, folks. I'm not. If you were bored in the first 3 episodes, we could talk about that. That's why when I'm watching that, I'm very intrigued because that's the stuff I'm pulling into it. But I have to also admit, after having talked about this ad nauseum, that just may not come to people, and that could be. We can talk about like, okay, then maybe they didn't do a good job telegraphing that or putting that out there enough, and that would be fair. I think that's where I want to get to, because like when people just say it's slow, I'm like, just saying it doesn't give me like, what's slow about it? Oh, I'm not getting the clues. Okay. Then I can get to the telegraphing. It's like, you're not giving enough out there and that would be fair. So maybe let's walk down those breadcrumbs and like talk that out. But if you just say it's slow,
but also see, part of my issue with that though is that, and this is some M. Night Shyamalan bullshit though. What they're doing is they're walking you down this path, and then now it's, oh, remember that thing that you thought was happening 3 episodes ago? Well, guess what? It isn't happening. Something else is happening, because here's this information that we didn't give you in the beginning. And like to me, that's like, I hate that type of mystery of it, because it's not a mystery. It's not a mystery if they deliberately withhold information from you.
But they're not deliberately withholding, and that's where we kind of get into the like, that kind of gets, that's a long
maybe
debate,
not deliberately.
Like, that kind of gets into like, how much should they give, like, I'm trying to think, because everybody's, I think four or 5 people have shared that Forbes article on my wall about people not understanding how to watch TV anymore. And
which is also the biggest boomer title I've seen in a long time.
Okay, hold on. But I have a thought.
Go for it.
Have you played Dark Souls?
I have not.
So Dark Souls is universally known as an unforgiving game, in that you as a player, you're going to die multiple times playing the game. You're gonna think you can do a thing, and it's just gonna smash you into oblivion and be like, no. And you're like, huh? Wait, what? I couldn't just button mash myself through that? And the game requires you to actually get good at executing movements within the game. And a lot of people would throw controllers and get upset and say that the game was terrible because it didn't let them breeze through it, or there was no level adjustment. Like, the game is the level that it is. You have to go through it, and you have to pick up the clues, and you have to go through and figure these things out on your own. And that, even though that initially had some backlash, it's since been seen as one of the best games made in the last decade, and its sequel, and it's got a little trilogy now, has been seen as one of the best games ever made, because once people got over that feeling of like, why are you not letting me just do what I want? And it's like, no, you have to learn how to work within this framework. And you'd say, like, well, don't games always make us do that? Well, over the last 20 years, there's been a lot of rubber band mechanics in games, so that even if you're at a hard level, you're pulled through it just so that you can still complete the task. And a lot of designers have talked about this of like, hey, we would love to keep it at this level, but if we do, people freak the hell out and they're like, no, we don't actually want that. So it's kind of been lying to people about the level. So I think about that when we talk about the Forbes article of like, I have no problem with like, should it have been dropped all at once, or should it have been or should it still have been in weekly format? I still think people would be upset at those the first three episodes though, even if it had been dropped. Granted, they would have been satisfied quicker in their because they could have got to watched it all in one weekend. So we probably would have never heard the like, oh, the first three episodes weren't necessarily up to, but hey, then the whole thing came out, and, so it probably would have been a much smaller blip because it all came out. But I still think the first three episodes are still ask you to do the same thing, even if they hadn't been weekly.
I don't know. I still take issue with the idea that it's the viewers who aren't sophisticated enough to understand this. And like what hipster shit is that? Where if you're an artist and you're trying to tell a story and people aren't getting it, it isn't always the failure of the audience.
You're not wrong, but and a friend posted this on my wall as well, kind of in that same spirit, and I've retorted back and like, that is a true statement, but there's nothing I've seen in my last 10, 11 years reviewing, at least 5 professionally. There's nothing that's shown me that audiences want to be critically engaged, and I think that's the thing where it's like, if you put a challenging piece of media out there, and I don't even think WandaVision is that challenging, although there is a challenging piece to it of like it is sparse in the first 3 episodes, so you have to either you're going to enjoy what they put out there and find out and enjoy that, or you're not, and again that leads to the slowness and the but look at the remake. We were just talking about a Wizard of Oz remake. Look at the things that have come out and remade, and they are bland and drab, and but people still shell a bunch of money out for it. So while it is true, yes, people know what they want to a degree. It's like, yes, we will throw money at that thing. We will go watch that thing. But I also feel like when they're upset that nothing, like the other, not the other group of people, but if those people ever say like, why don't we ever see anything new? And it's like, well, people will try to give you that, and then you don't go support that, or Hollywood doesn't want to take the risks to like. And I was like, we're getting into like the reason I've shied away from getting even into this with WandaVision is because we were getting into a rat's nest of perception problems with Hollywood that like we probably need to spend a whole nother episode talking about, which I'm fine doing that. But I just was surprised that this. I guess I shouldn't be surprised, but this show just hit on a lot of. I'm like, I've been thinking this for a while. I'm just glad that people are actually having the conversation now of like, if you think the show sucks, fine, but I need you to look at these other. There's these other things that have tried, and you all have ignored them because they were quote unquote slow or too hard to, and you just kind of threw them under that bad TV mantle, and that's just not the case. There is bad TV. I'm not saying there's bad structural TV. There's a lot of it.
So here's the thing, though. Like, when I think about slow, would you agree with me that... oh, crap, I forgot the name of the Ridley Scott TV show that we were loving, Raised by Wolves.
Oh, yeah. It's slow. It's slower than WandaVision.
Yeah, it's slower than WandaVision. I haven't finished. But to me, like, things... Like, I liked that, and I was eating it up because... I feel like it's not... WandaVision doesn't have breadcrumbs. I think it's an Easter egg hunt. And I don't mean Easter egg in the typical fandom method. Right. I think it's...
There's a difference between, like, show Easter eggs to keep you, like... Yes. These will be important later versus just MCU Easter eggs that are like a Stan Lee cameo or the Hydra commercial and things like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So, like, I think what they did was they hid those Easter eggs too well, or they were being too subtle about it. Because to me, there was a part of me that thought episode 4 or episode 4 is what the original storyline was intended to be, and then they said, "Oh crap, we need more episodes." So they made these filler sitcom stuff at the beginning to kind of establish it. But I know it's in the comic, but I don't know. It felt like I still don't agree that there's all this amazing stuff. And yes, I mean, like Agnes, other things like that. But again, you could have established that in 1 or 2 episodes as opposed to, almost 90 minutes of this thing that doesn't engage me with the character, doesn't get me to care about what's going on. I've cared more about Wanda in the last 2 episodes than I did in the previous 3.
And that's fine. And I guess what I'm saying is, like, that's the conversation I want to have. When I say people are just saying it's too slow, like, again, that doesn't really give me that points me in a direction. It doesn't really give me enough information. Or just saying it sucks, I'm like, why do you think it sucks? And again, it's not saying, like, if you don't want to think about it any more critically than that, no one's making you. But that doesn't mean I should have to listen to you. And I'm not saying, it's not talking about you, Tom. I'm just saying, but like, if you're, because people have been in my comments, people have been in my messages, you know who you are. I'm sorry. But if that's all you can say is slow and boring, that's not, if I as a reviewer put those 2 words and that was it as my review, I'd be laughed off of Rotten Tomatoes. I'd be laughed off my message.
It sucks, Gene Siskel.
That's all. So I'm like, if you want to have a conversation on it, let's have a conversation on it. But just saying it's slow. And again, we'll save the longer term conversation that this is brought up, because it is interestingly hit some. I'm just surprised by the cross section that's created. I think I'll just leave it at that. It just hit a lot of things that I've been feeling as a reviewer, or like friction I have with the audience. And I don't know if we want to dive into all of it here, but I just think it'd be a lot. I think that'd be a good conversation.
Yes, but I am going to save myself a bit and clear myself by saying, because I loved Raised by Wolves, and that was slow as molasses. It isn't because I don't understand how to watch and enjoy slow TV.
Yeah. Let's see.
Getting back to episode 5. Though.
Getting back to episode 5. Actually, before we do that, let me just double check the stream. Let's see. There's literally a sword image on the helicopter and Beekeeper. I don't agree that it was too subtle. Tom got a new setup. That's a TRX in the background. What? Oh, Lindy finished. So this is actually Tom. We started the show.
Yeah.
With Tom recording here, and then the last couple months, Tom's been recording in his downstairs room. So this is the first night he's been back up in his office for. And,
yes.
It's been.
I have a guest for the next couple weeks, so that is why we're back here.
Come on.
And that's why you get to see my TRX in the background. But and also Nell, just to like. I'm not talking about the helicopter, the sword on the helicopter and other things like that. Like that was
those
a sledgehammer.
Those are the obvious ones.
Yeah, those are sledgehammers. And that honestly, that set me off a little bit as well. Is like, it was, there's this helicopter, and then I'm like, okay, fine, yes, we know. Can we move on to that? And so yeah, but. Back to episode 5.
Cool. Let me. Sorry.
Oh yeah, finish up.
Ace Davis. I didn't get Stepford Wives vibes from Mrs. Hart. I saw the stop it scene as a way for her to stay in character, but plead with Wanda for help. And I think now that we know what we've seen with Norm, I think that was a little bit of her trying to get out. But I do want to make a distinction between Mrs. Hart and Deborah Jo Rupp's as the actress character. Because it felt like being stuck and that's a little bit of her persona that could get out to say something, as opposed to Catherine Hahn's Agnes character, which definitely seems to be mostly in control of their faculties. I'm sure Wanda could still stop that if she wanted to, which I don't know. I don't know if the Agatha thing is going to be a real thing that happens. So I got to see if that comes to fruition. But specifically, it seemed like Mrs. Hart was doing her best to get those words out, as opposed to like Agnes seems
in cahoots with what's going on.
Yeah.
Whereas in Deborah Jo Rupp's, Miss Hart's was a protest. The other one was an assist, I think.
Yeah. Let's see. Lanai is distressed by Agnes's susness. She did end up running from the room when I was like going on that. I was like, Agnes! Let's see. Cool. Where are we at? Okay. So we talked about Norm. Okay. So
can we talk about Wanda's confrontation?
Yes. Go ahead.
Because that possibly has been the most badass I've seen Wanda ever. It's just her storming out. Sadly, she lost one thing. I have a thing for accents, and I did love her TV accent so much. And I was actually a little disappointed that her Sokovian accent came back. But
I think it's a really interesting tell, because she's had that under control the entire first 3 episodes, and it's slowly, even by the third, when she's telling was it Evangeline? Sorry, no. I can't
Geraldine.
Remember. Geraldine, but Monica, and
yeah.
It's she loses it there. So that's the first time it was really like gone, when she's like, "You don't belong here." Like it's not like it's like, oh, and then finally just like it's continued to break down since that point, and it's like she's struggling, like it's showing like she's struggling to keep this together. And then her an argument with Vision, like it started to break down there. You're talking about the confrontation. When her and Agnes are having the conversation about to take it again. As much as she's like the smile is there, and she's trying to like maintain the eye contact, and it's like, but even though she's forcing that to happen, you're right, like the accent is like peeking through there even before she gets to the confrontation with Sword. And so yeah, they try to shoot at her,
and that did not work out well.
That was dumb. That was really dumb. Do you not have a dossier on her at all? Have you not seen what she can? I mean, I get everyone wasn't at the confrontation with Thanos at the end of the, like, I get that, but come on. Did you think that was going to work?
That is one of the most frustrating things so far about WandaVision post episode 4, is that the powers that be at Sword are really stupid, and it's tropey in that, like, this guy is, I'm in charge now. What? You're a science girl. I'm not interested in you. Your mom disappeared your mom died when you disappeared. We're not trusting you either. And who are you, Jimmy?
He's FBI.
Yes. I am a magical FBI agent, damn it.
Here's my card. Which we talked Agents of Atlas and the hopefulness of the spinoff there on Monday. Hopefully we'll get to that at the end. We'll see if we can. But I'm really excited if that ends up happening. So I don't know if we talked about it last week, but Vision's body was taken apart. As much as they're upset at her for violating his will, that's a thing that we did not talk about. Is that the scene that they're trying to, like, as the evidence that she has, and again, she obviously broke into, like, yeah, got it, but his body was taken apart, and he said specifically he did not want to be used as a weapon. And last time I checked, his body was intact after the battle at Infinity War.
Mm-hmm.
So, we've been trying to figure out, like, okay, so Wanda at the end of Endgame seems... I mean, she's still gonna... Like, she hasn't had time to necessarily process Vision yet. But at least at the end of Endgame, seems like she was all right. And now you're saying, again, we know the scene of going to grab Vision was a deleted scene from Endgame, but they decided not to put it in there, and it's now we've seen it in WandaVision. But there's still an inciting incident, or even if it is someone's whispering in her ear to get her started, there's something Sword's not telling us, the boss is not telling Monica and the rest of the crew. Like there's still a piece there that's hasn't been uncovered yet.
So hey, I've got some breaking news.
You have some breaking news.
I do. Gina Carano is no longer part of Star Wars. They fired her tonight.
Well, I'm sad.
Shocked.
Shocked. So shocked.
Yep.
I am sad just because she, at least if in the universe, she did play her character well, and I liked her interactions with Mando. So, like that was good. But yeah, I ain't gonna be crying too much about that being trash in real life.
Yep.
Lindy Fitness is saying magical FBI agent. Now, right? I can't figure out the Vision piece. Yep. No one's is Taryn saying no one is respecting Vision's will. Like there's a mind stone in his forehead. Okay, so, dang it. How about we finish talking about the episode, so then I can get into the because I want to get into the things I think might happen as a result of this episode. But
I think I'm done talking about the episode. Except for one big spoiler.
I was about to say we didn't get to the big one. The thing you and me we were calling it.
Small.
We were calling it. What do you mean small?
Hey, I'm trying to downplay how awesome we are.
No, Tom. Hey, listeners. You mean you might have heard it on some other site first. So, to be fair, I'm not saying we didn't. To be fair, we did not drop the nugget that Evan Peters was being cast. So it's not like we got that for contacts and then posted that first. Like that's not what we're saying. But we were definitely adamant of like, and that's how they're going to use him to like because of all the multiverse stuff. Like that's how they're going to bring him back into it. And while it still remains to be seen how that mechanism will actually work out in this show, like how much of it is going to be Wanda's reality bending powers or the quantum verse, quantum mania coming up, or masters of the multi. I was like, I'm just glad that we put that out there in the summer, and he shows up.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, yes, yes, told you. And he wasn't playing some, he wasn't playing some other character. Like she's recognizing him as Quicksilver, So it's, how much of his X-Men-ness is gonna pull over. I don't know that. So we definitely that will remain to be seen. But yeah, Evan Peters back as Pietro, Quicksilver, and Tom, are you excited? What do you think?
I have mixed feelings about the casting. I'm excited that there's Quicksilver. I'm excited that I'm curious to see how the brother sister dynamic will play out in this. I love Darcy's line of she recast her brother. But I also kind of want I kind of wanted Kick-Ass to continue getting some work.
You know what though? I feel like if Aaron Taylor Johnson had come back, it would have been at least a little less jarring. And then if it had switched to Evan Peters Pietro, then like your brain could have like understood it a little bit more. So like
that could have been fun too, is having both of them and switching back and forth. Just because, why not, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm kind of the other thing that I think is kind of curious is that in the MCU, Wanda's not a mutant. She's been modified,
Yes, that's the
and
thing that people, and I was bringing it up on my Facebook wall. Keep going, keep going, keep
yes.
going.
So it'll be curious to see how this all plays out. I'm wondering who put him there, because certainly wasn't Sword or Sword.
And I don't think, at least Wanda consciously wasn't doing it.
Correct. And I'm still of the mind that Wanda is not fully in control of herself and what's going on.
The same things I said about some of the townsfolk seems apparent to Wanda when she's struggling to go back and forth. When it's like to the point about the voice and the accent. It's like even when she's in her, I don't want to say posh, but that's probably the best way I can describe it. Or like the presented Wanda for the screen of like, oh, Vision, nothing. We're an odd couple, aren't we? Like, even when that version has to break down because something has interfered with it, it still takes her a while to do what she needs to do. It's like, because if it was just her, why doesn't she just immediately snap and be like, no, that nonsense, you're gone. And it's like, even when for the first episode, when the Beehive guy comes through, or the first Sword guy in the suit, it still takes Wanda a moment to, it's like, I don't want to say muster up the courage, but to process what's happening and then do something about it. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. No, for the most part, I think it's kind of like a dream, right? Mm-hmm. Like, I don't know if you've ever tried doing lucid dreaming before, but
no, I have not. Unfortunately.
So the funny thing about lucid dreaming is that you have control of the dream, but you don't still have control of the dream. Your subconscious or whatever kind of fills in some blanks.
Yeah.
So like, you can say, hey, in my dream I want to be on a beach, but then all of a sudden, 100 yards down is a bunch of people playing volleyball, and you're like, oh, I didn't put that there. What's going on? And I think the same thing is going on with Wanda, or it is Agnes that's playing an influencing part. I still think there's a part of me that thinks like Agnes is going to turn into Tom Hiddleston at the end of this, but
okay, but I'll get to that in a moment. Okay, let's back up. Not talking about the twin twist. Well, I mean, I don't know what to say about them yet. That's really why it's like, because if we go comics, that gets really dark really quick, and I don't know if they're going to go that far with it. So it might just be those twins aren't going to exist after this thing is over with. So it's not saying they're not important, but I don't want to go too far down the twins with her children right now with Billy and Tommy, but just because of when she loses them in the comics. It ain't good for nobody. I'm not even talking. Forget House of M, because that doesn't involve her children. Like, Wanda losing her children is the worst thing that can ever happen to the world. Just point blank. Period. Ever stop. Just no. I don't know. I don't get the sense Disney's gonna go that far. But okay. Well, yeah. We'll talk about that in a second. Sorry.
Yep.
Let me go back through some questions. Super Uncle Jesse vibes. Yes. Totally agree. Because I was already kind of getting the... And folks were talking about family ties. I'm like, yes, that is... Yes. So we were talking about that on my Facebook. It's definitely a family ties intro to the show.
Yeah,
you're completely right.
Absolutely.
But there is that pseudo San Francisco shot, which isn't... Like, obviously it's in the town square of the place she's made in Westview. So it's not that San Francisco shot from... wow, Full House.
Full House.
No, but I felt like they were. I felt like that's what they're trying to lean towards. Like, hey, this is family ties, and we're think about this is where we're gonna go next. So yeah, that TGI. Might even get an Urkel appearance. I'm just kidding.
No, yeah, and now you're right. Full House started in the late '80s, and Family Ties was like '82. I think. So I think that's that's what we're going into, and he's totally going to play an Uncle Jesse at some point.
Yeah. For sure.
Hot money on guitar playing at some point.
And I think he played guitar in Days of Future Past when he's downstairs.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he was like playing on his games, or like an arcade game as well. But I think there might have been guitar in that as well. Let's see. Lindy Fitness is saying, wait, Wanda isn't a mutant. So real quick, because of the fucks when Age of Ultron happened, there's a technicality because Quicksilver and WandaVision showed up in the Avengers first, and later it was written that they were Magneto's children, or I guess later revealed that they were Magneto's children, which would make them mutants. So even though at the time Disney had the rights to use Wanda and Quicksilver, they couldn't call them mutants because that term, at least in the X-Men's versus Avengers world, X-Men owned that as a term. Now mutants can exist and pop back up in the world, but the question is, well, you've already written that Quicksilver and Wanda's powers came from the Mind Stone, so they're probably like their offspring might be like, you might call them like mutants based off of the bloodline, and any other folks that come in might be mutants, but I would be surprised if they retcon that to make them mutants. So like, yeah, Beast or like Professor X and other folks show up, I'm assuming they'll be mutants. They use the term miracle and that's what Strucker says. He's like, they're my little miracles at the end of that little before you get to Age of Ultron. I don't know if they're gonna do that, but yeah. That's actually a good lead into theories of what's going to happen. Actually, let me make sure I got all the. Sorry, I'm trying to make sure I'm including y'all. Make sure. There's someone else. Ace Davis, yes. We're gonna throw some possibilities out there of what could be going on. So yeah, I think there's someone else. She can also just pull the credits. She doesn't want to talk about it. Sorry, my little sitcom heart loved that. That was so good. It came down. She was like, "No, we're not gonna talk about it." And you hear the like, not jazz, but like the little end song.
Wow, gosh, I don't even remember what sitcom that was from.
It was so good. It was so good. Sorry, because I've gone back and rewatched that scene at least 2 or 3 times. That made me laugh. My sitcom nerd appreciated that. Taryn saying Agnes was the one pushing the info that Geraldine and Monica didn't belong to Vision. Okay, so I guess let's just start with Agnes. Evidence that she might be Agatha Harkness is she knows too much, and you're too cool with the situation. Everyone else so far, Mrs. Hart, is freaking out. It's like, stop it. It's probably the most she could get out. As soon as Vision gives Norm some of his memories back, he's like, what's going on? Get me out of it. And he's like, shoot, let me turn that off. let me not keep that on. Agnes is too cool. I'm sorry. She's like Rose's parents in Get Out. I'm sorry. You're too cool. You're too cool about this. You too cool. Yep. Like why is this not freaking you out? Or I guess we talk about Rose herself. Like, Rose, why you not? Why isn't this freaking you out? Your parents are selling folks. Why you not? Oh, because you in it. Because you in it. Okay. And I think that's a good thing to mention, because it's like, as much as there's Wanda trying to control aspects of the world, I think showing the friction she's had, and Monica calls it out. Monica's like, wait, why did you let me in then? Because notice Jimmy says it feels like there's something in that telling us not to go in. He's like, there's something that's like trying to repel us from going into it. Monica, as curious as she is, like, right? And Jimmy's like, hey, Agent Rambo, what are you doing? And it's like Monica got pulled into it. As much as she might have been curious about it, I think a trained agent would know not to stick their hand into like an energy, because they could definitely tell that there was some kind of thing there.
See, maybe they were right that she wasn't ready for the field. Yeah, she needed more time in Fiji.
Oh, Fiji. Good reference. I like that. That was good. That's good. Let's see. Ace is saying they're not sure if it's Agnes. There are lots of townspeople that seem to be more aware than everyone else. Agnes, Herb, Dottie, the doctor. Which I want to see. Now wants to see more of Emma Caulfield, which I think is the next one again. I think it's Emma. Herb, not Norm. No, or is Herb? Is Herb the guy at the computing company, or I'm trying to remember the black guy's name with the afro. I don't think.
Yeah, I thought that was her husband. I thought Agnes's husband.
Maybe I have to go back through and look for the cast list. The only reason, okay, so the reason Herb is afro. Okay, I know Herb was talking to her, so yes, he could be involved as well. And that's going to get to one of my other theories. So, folks, the other reason I think it's Agnes. So you can see in the kitchen scene, Ralph. Thank you, Taryn. Norm is the computer guy. Thank you. So yeah, I had that right. Norm. I just couldn't remember the guy with the afro. So afro's Herb. And Dottie's there when the radio goes off. But Dottie's having more of a Mrs. Hart reaction, in my opinion. She's trying to process, why is that radio talking to you? Right? She's struggling with trying to stay in the universe. And it's but why is that happening? The other thing, and Vision calls this out in the kitchen, but he didn't catch it when it happened in the first episode. So the twins continue to grow up in front of their eyes, and Agnes is oblivious to it, and Vision's like, "What?
Yeah.
You didn't notice?" But to me, I'm like, "Hey, Vision, you didn't notice when the turkey flew out the freaking window, and Agnes was in the backyard and saw that?" And she didn't say anything about that? And didn't think any of that was weird? Yeah, thank you. No, Agnes didn't notice. Okay, right, sure. So, I'm sorry. Now, if they end up pulling a switcheroo, I'll be a little, okay, maybe it's someone else. And it was Ace saying. So, again, I think Herb, you might be right about Herb. Herb could be closer, because, again, he was there in the conversation in the driveway. So maybe her and Agnes are in this together. I could buy that. I just don't think the other townsfolks. Dottie, I think, was just more confused by the radio, and then you brought up the doctor. I still think the doctor. I don't know. The doctor wasn't there enough, in my opinion.
No, he's a non-player, I think.
So yeah, I would. Yeah, if Herb ends up being involved, I could buy that. I think Agnes is just you've been venting in medical. I'm sorry, I can't. You're sus, Agnes. So yeah. Nell brought up a good point about hopefully this isn't just the stereotypical woman can't control her emotions and turn into the bad guy story. And unfortunately, I do think there are elements of that, and it's also unfortunate because there are also just elements of that in Wanda's comic story too. So it depends on how much they lean on that. But the interesting thing about Agnes, as much as I know I'm saying sus a lot, Agatha Harkness, at least to some degree, helped, depending on the version of Scarlet Witch, helped her hone in her powers a lot. So as much as this situation might be a cluster. Maybe nonsense to the rest of the world, it may be Agnes's best attempt at trying to help Wanda process and also rein in her powers. So I'm not saying that justifies what has happened, but if the end result is Agnes has been I did all this to help you work through this. Now you're free, or has sets her on some kind of trajectory. That at least would be a more positive aspect than. Agnes potentially doing the same thing and being now crush them.
Yeah. That, and also I'm hoping that this is the end of this narrative is going to be more. It's going to be much like we talked about with King Kong, and humans were reacting badly to what they didn't understand that she was doing.
Yeah.
And. Yep, and so right now she's the villain. I mean, she's the villain of her own show right now. and I'm hoping by the end it'll be oh yeah, that was not cool, but we understand. So
Yeah. Ace is saying, not saying that those are the people that are in control, just that they know more about the town than people like Norm. Okay, yeah, that's yeah. I don't know if I agree with Dottie, but yes, I definitely agree with Herb and Agnes. And again, the Doctor. Oh, you're saying okay? The Doctor alluded there being no way to escape. Okay, so the Doctor might be tapping into their memories a little bit of like, look, we as the town folk have been trying to leave and we can't. You know, maybe they did it on day 1 and day 2 and day 3 and gave up.
Yep.
That's really good. Dude, bro, Agent even made Wanda be a villain. And again, I think he's sus. Because again, with the photo of him being taken apart, it's like, what were you doing? You know?
Yep.
It's also kind of crazy. Like, how did they get Vision's body?
Well, it was just, oh yeah, because that was in Wakanda. Who's going to be taking that shit from Wakandans? Unless Cap took it.
I mean, I could be the only, like, if, again, so they said it's based on his will, so maybe he, Cap trusted them to do what they needed to with his body, and then they didn't trust him. It's like, but that's the thing, like, people keep forgetting the end spots where people were left. Don't think about Endgame. He was in Wakanda. How did he take him? Now saying Cap wouldn't do that. Yeah, that's probably...
Well, sure, but like it's not like Cap would take him to New York. Maybe he would take him back to Avengers headquarters.
Yeah,
but like it's not like Cap's watching over Vision's body 24/7. Cap's got Cap shit to do. So most likely there's some, because the Avengers still had associations with S.H.I.E.L.D., SWORD, and everything else. So, yeah, I'm sure that there was some asshole agent that just yoinked it out of there. And
now saying, or he'd want to give him a funeral. Or what about the white agent dude from Black Panther? Martin Freeman's character. And again, I think we sometimes think so much about the 5-year gap. So there's still that time period in the beginning of Endgame that is them trying to deal with Thanos immediately. So it is possible, and they went back to Avengers Campus. So it is possible that they brought Vision's body with them to Avengers Campus, and it got stolen from there while they were on their hiatus. Yep. While they were going to like, we're gonna see if we can take out Thanos and get the stones back. Ah, crap.
Yeah, they had 5 years to steal Vision's body. I'm sure that nefarious people would be able to do that.
Yeah. So we talked to Agnes and Agnes Harkness, so that's a possibility. There's one that, and I will say, I think this is an outside chance, but as much as we're getting into multiverse and the chaos that is with that, there's a name that's not been brought up. It's not an X-Men villain. This is someone who's tormented Spider-Man, Daredevil, Wanda, Magneto. They are effectively the Marvel's version of the devil, Mephisto. Mm-hmm. And if you make a deal with Mephisto, it usually does not turn out very well. It is not. The track record's there, not very good. And the reason I bring him up is because to get her twins back, Wanda has made a deal with him in the past. So again, I don't know if that's what she would have done to bring her twins into this universe. But I keep kind of focusing on Marcy's comment of like, hey, everything else has a real life component, but what about the twins? And I'm also assuming that her brother is going to come into that equation as well too, because it's like, where did he? If everything else has a real world equivalent and has been morphed, and been the reality of that thing has been morphed, like even Vision, it still has a body that was morphed to work inside that reality. What about the twins and her brother? So again, I still think there's an outside chance because Harkness just seems like a stronger. Like if I were gonna bet money, I'd put more money on that. But knowing how many of those deals have happened in the comics and how badly they've gone, and looking at where the trajectory this is going right now, and it's starting to go downhill for Wanda, I would not be surprised.
Yep. I think I'm done. I think I'm done with predictions this time around. I need to take in one more, and to close that out.
I have one more.
Okay.
We referenced it, but we didn't finish it out. So the Mind Stone in the comics also has had a history of doing things or tricking people into doing things.
As if it had a mind of its own.
As if it had a mind of its own. So isn't it curious that two people, now a third person, that one person was powered by the Mind Stone, two people's powers are created by the Mind Stone, are suddenly all back together in this weird sitcom. Man, that is bizarre. That is crazy. That is weird. That's weird. So is the Mind Stone destroyed? Yes. But the stones come back in some weird places, right? I know Thanos said he used the stones to destroy the stones, but I didn't believe that for a second, even after, and I know they didn't go this way in the movie, but I don't necessarily believe that completely. And they even make a reference to that energy having been dissipated throughout the universe. So it's not crazy to think that one of the stones, particularly the stone that has its own consciousness, might have tried to reconstitute itself in some way. And we also don't know what Wanda had to do to bring this universe, this pocket of world together. So again, I feel that's like why the deal with Mephisto could be in play. She played around with the stone too much, or like played around with her powers too much, and got lost in her side herself. I feel like there's some different avenues for them to go to at least show that, like, as much as she's in control of part of this, there's another part of that that's outside of her control, where like an Agnes or Mephisto or a who's the guy that Professor X fights in the desert? Dang it. Night King, Midnight King. Dang it. If someone remembers...
Are you talking about Apocalypse?
No, it's not Apocalypse. Oh, God, that's going to drive me nuts. It's another...
No. Go ahead.
It's another powerful psychic, but they usually only... They can't exist in our plane. They have to exist... They can only exist in the psychic plane or whatever the X-Men version of it is called. Dang it! That's gonna Is it Shaman King?
That could be it. I'm just now thinking when you brought up how all three of them were given gifts by the Mind Stone. I was just thinking about how bitter Quicksilver must have been. That oh yeah, we both were exposed to the same stone. My sister can bend reality and make anything that she wants. I can run really fast.
Yeah. Nell saying, didn't Cat put them all back? Yeah, but that's in a different timeline. It's not in our timeline.
Yes. You see, yes, because Kenneth can't allow Agent Carter to make out with her uncle. So there's two different timelines.
I was gonna say no, and that timeline would be her father.
Wait, no. Agent Carter, it's Auntie Peggy.
Oh, right. Sorry.
Sharon Carter.
Sorry. Yeah. It's not Granny. It's not Granny. It's not Granny Peggy. Sorry. Oh, God. Taryn's saying, it's so funny, but before the show, I hadn't made the connection that the Mind Stone created Wanda and Vision. Yes. Gave Wanda her powers, created Vision, or gave Vision his brain, co-opted the network of old Jarvis, and turned him from a voice actor into live
to action star. And no, I don't want to stop it. I want to turn the MCU into Flowers in the Attic. So.
Wow. Stop. I'm with no on this one. Stop it, Tom. Don't ruin my Cap and Peggy feels, please. Yeah, I'm with you now. It's just... All right, so Lenny Dennis was saying interns did it. Unpaid interns. S.H.I.E.L.D. interns. Yeah. I would... stealing Vision's body. Yeah, I would be down with that. All right, so folks, I think we'll wrap on Wanda. I'll take the spoiler thing down.
Yeah.
And
so I was going to do a quick time check. We were going to talk about movies,
yeah.
But it is 10 o'clock.
So maybe we'll push that till next week. We had a lot of Wanda. We had a lot of Wanda. And then I guess we'll also, if we don't have time for the Whedon issues, I may jump on later this week and jump on and make a separate chat about that. Actually, if I can get the camera set up, I might do a rundown this weekend. Just get some other news topics that we missed from Monday that are like game related. But I think the shortest thing I can say is that there's a lot of Whedon things that have been in the air, and the reason at the start of the show I pointed out Angel and Buffy, because one, that's where he got his acclaim. I know he'd been working in TV before that point, but he really got his acclaim during Buffy and afterwards with Angel, and obviously Firefly, and so kind of like did an uptick from there. And it's not saying that Ray Fisher's accusations are, and now that we know is like most are true, not like allegations, but like no, this is true statements of what's happened. So it's not saying those aren't important. But the reason I think having folks from Angel, having like Carissa Carpenter, having Sarah Michelle Gellar come forward and talk about, no, he was trash on set, and here's some of the things we started to experience, and these things are really coming out in the forefront. I think that's important because nerddom is hard-headed, bigoted, stuck in their ways, but having someone from the OG crews come out and say, no, we need to pay attention to this, and we're gonna back Ray Fisher on this and help explain like this isn't an isolated incident. Here's what we experienced on set. Should Ray Fisher's testimony stand on its own? It definitely should, but I don't think it's anything wrong with them coming forward on it. And again, I just think because of how entrenched people are going to be in their views, having people from Buffy and Angel say this as well is just another boon to that, and making sure that he doesn't get hired in this capacity again.
Another voice to the chorus.
Yeah. So it is sad. I'm not saying it's not sad, because he's definitely had an influential impact on things that I've watched growing up, and I think a lot of nerds would say like some of their fandom or the things that they enjoy watching, even if they didn't necessarily watch those shows. There's definitely an imprint of those on some of the other things that they watch. And obviously there's an imprint of that on the MCU as well, as we just got done talking Wanda. But that was the Age of Ultron was his last Avengers movie. So there's definitely an imparting of Whedon's style that's on the MCU. It's just you can't avoid it. But we gotta take care of business. We gotta clean house.
I'm kind of curious to see how this is going to play out, because I think this is also going to lend to, let's be honest, that the WB may be trash as well.
Oh gosh.
No, think about it, because like Ray Fisher, but also going back to, what's her face and Johnny Depp. Johnny Depp and his ex-wife.
Amber Heard.
Amber Heard, yeah, and how the WB seems to be really having a hard time making a decision on that one too. Like how to deal with either of them.
What did we talk about a couple weeks ago? Or how did I start the show off? Like, WB is trash.
Yep.
Warner Brothers is trash. I don't care if you're giving me screeners to review your movies. If I can't call you trash, then let the screeners dry up. I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
Your practices are terrible. Atrocious!
Yep.
Yeah, so this deserves a more thorough breakdown. We're not going to start that right now because we're already at the 2-hour mark for the show, so we apologize, folks. We thank you for hanging in there with us. Or not hanging in there. We had a good conversation on WandaVision.
Yes.
Just know, but I know we got a little long in the tooth. But yeah, we don't want to start reading right now. But I think those are some good, quick thoughts. And Ben and Tom will talk and see what we want to do for next week and if we'll include that or not, or if maybe I'll just knock it out. Maybe we'll do an extra thing and just knock it out this weekend.
Sure.
Let's see. Now saying not surprised by Joss. Already some. And again, yeah, those are. It's an unfortunate thing, but there's these. It feels like there's always something out there, and it never gets brought up to the forefront. And I'm not saying that can still be a problem today. That can definitely be a problem about things that are probably going on today that and I hope we get on them sooner. But there's probably things that are happening now that still won't get referenced until a decade later. But yeah, there's been things out there about Joss, and just nothing ever stuck, or people weren't concerned about doing anything about it. You can get into like the old boys club thing about it, and like we're gonna protect our own, and no one really took him to task about it, or people that would have didn't have the power to speak up. Because I mean, we've seen what happened to Ray Fisher in 2020. Going into this year, and he's lost out on being like he finished his reshoots for the Snyder Cut, but he's out as Cyborg. He's not going to be able to do the Flash, which really needs to be talked about more. And again, that's another reason I'm glad that the Angel and Buffy crew is coming out and saying something about it, because hopefully that will get to Tom's point, really throw some fire on Warner Brothers, because it's like, he has been partnered with the same company for quite a bit. That's crazy. Oh, and y'all went to bat for him during Justice League. That is crazy. That is.
Yep. I do want to say though, like a lot of this, I mean, it's terrible, but it's also pretty good. And I want to thank Tarana Burke for starting the Me Too movement, because if that didn't gain traction like it did about 5-6 years ago, then a lot of this stuff probably wouldn't still be taken seriously.
Yeah.
And we'd still have Weinsteins and Whedons not being called out for what they've done.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know, like Sarah Michelle Gellar talked about it. She hinted to problems, but she never specified anything in her announcement. And she basically said, yeah, Josh is kind of, I think he's kind of trash. Believe them. Believe the accusers. I'm going to go take care of my kids and fight COVID. I'll talk to you guys later. And I think, like, I hope people don't give her too much crap for that. Because while she did call it out, but she didn't enumerate, like, issues or other things like that, I think that there are a lot of people, like, I remember who was Kiddo in Kill Bill.
Kiddo?
AKA Black Mamba.
Oh, Uma Thurman.
Yes, like when people asked Uma Thurman, like this is even 4 years ago when things started coming out about Harvey Weinstein. You know, she still kept quiet. Like she said, and she showed her anger, and she said that I hope he gets what he deserves or something along those lines, but. Uma's got stories to tell, and she hasn't told them yet.
Gosh, yeah, I really don't want to. Yeah, we will. Well, yeah, we need
let's revisit this.
We'll revisit it, but something I want to be abundantly clear with Weinstein is that, like, there's a power dynamic, and Weinstein would destroy you.
Yes.
So I think that's the other thing people understand. Like, there's an organizational pressure on the Whedon stuff and some of these other stories that come out, but Weinstein would that's the other thing people need. I'm not like obviously content warning on this if you go read the stories and accounts that have come out on Harvey Weinstein, but the consistent theme was backlash, retaliation, and him pulling the full weight of whatever power he had against his victims or anyone that wanted to say something. So as much as there is institutional issues that allowed it to continue to go on, like people are legit scared for their careers because it's like it's one phone call from him and you're done.
Yep.
Then you're gonna be doing sci-fi movies at best on.
No, you're gonna be doing Canadian Vancouver sci-fi TV shows for the rest of your life, if that.
At best.
Yeah.
So, again, not trying to equate or make one better or worse. I'm just saying, but that is definitely a dynamic that's significantly more, I guess, more damaging, or at least help explain like why so many people had it. So again, you're talking about interviews when it comes up, or like why didn't you say anything? Again, some people it's cowardice. Other folks it's, they did not want to get that was a bulldozer they did not want to take alone. And it had no help.
Yeah, and I mean, I have issues with the term cowardice in that because, you're basically put in this situation. It's kind of like one of the tropes that I've wanted to talk about here, of people who quit their jobs over morality, and like in my entire working career, I can't recall a time where I felt comfortable enough where I could just quit my job over something, oh, you shorted a stock? Oh, well, I'm going to quit because I feel that that's immoral.
Yeah.
No, I got bills to pay.
Exactly.
So do they. So, yeah.
Yeah, these people, if you're like, I quit my job out of protest, it's like, I guess you had some savings. I guess you had that Dave Ramsey 5 to 6 months of emergency fund to take care of your expenses, right? That's not. Oh gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I promise. Yeah, so folks, and the other thing is like I know we always do news along with Wednesdays, so that's why I'm advocating we probably need to do this on a separate chat just so we can give it the time that it needs, so that we're not trying to like run through the news topics and then also cover a heavy topic like Joss Whedon or Harvey Weinstein. This also way people can be a little more prepared for what's gonna happen, but we're not gonna shy away from it. We've been covering the Ray Parker stuff for quite a bit. I even you've seen me hold off on things until I had more details, like a month ago. I was able to finally kind of give a full report on what I'd found, and then this is another outspringing of that. And thanks for Tom and Taryn for like pulling articles and things like that from like the past couple of weeks as well, whenever things have dropped. Yeah. So, yeah, hate to leave it on. On a down note. Let's see. Pulling a Lance Armstrong. Oof. Ugh. Gosh. Lenny Pennis.
What? No.
No. I know what they're talking about. As far as like using their power to, we'll talk more about that. Don't know the vibes of Joss and the potential subtle power that's not as blatant but super impactful to careers. Yep. How much? No, you ain't got to be sorry, Linda Pennis. No, you're good. It was just. I was like, dang, we ain't trying to go there right. Cool. Yes, that's right. Wandavision is this Friday, so we'll be watching that. Friday morning, my review of The Little Things, which was Rami Malek, Denzel Washington, and Jared Leto, which you've probably just seen new photos of him as the Joker dropping in the internet. And I don't know if it's necessarily better than what he did in Suicide Squad. I don't know.
I don't care. His Suicide Squad performance, I am completely apathetic.
So yeah, watch for that review to drop. I've got some other Netflix reviews to get through. And for the folks that are on Patreon, I sent you a message about a new video that's coming out. It was going to come out last weekend. The setup should almost be done, so I'll be able to record that, and you'll get first crack to see that. It's for folks that are cartoon lovers. It is going to be cartoon characters that feel black, and as a black nerd when you're watching your favorite shows, but you don't see someone that looks like you tend to attach yourself to characters that at least either maybe speak the way you do, and not in like a Ebonics kind of fake way, but just maybe have some attitudes or lingo that kind of cute codes as black. So that'll be the first video we post to the Patreon users, and then you get access to that first, and that will come on YouTube afterwards. So
kind of like Snake Eyes and Destro were for me.
There's one. This is the second one I talk about in that video. I think it's just hilarious. It might be some of the best stuff I've ever written. I'll be completely honest. So y'all be the judge of that. The Patreon users get to see it first, and oh yes, Pipers want you to be done so they can get attention. I know, Lanai. I know. They've been pacing back and forth impatiently. It's good. It might be time to go outside.
Yes.
All right. So, folks, thank you for watching the Commander Shipp show. Check us out Thursday night, Red Shirt Rejects, our sci-fi show on everything Star Trek, Star Wars. They're doing Babylon 5 and time to chat about DS9 tomorrow night. I'll be in the background producing, but it's going to be Kyle and I was about to say Tom. Sorry, Trevor. Getting two T's mixed up.
Wait, I'm working tomorrow night.
Yeah, you are. You better be on time. You better be on time. No, so they'll be on Thursday night, and that's going to be every other week. And we talked about some other. I'm not going to release any other details. We've been working on some other stuff behind the scenes. Tom's been working. We got some other like gaming stuff that's going to be coming up. So I'd rather just let you know officially when that's going to happen, just because some of our schedules have been terrible. So I don't want to be like, yes, this thing's happening, and then completely lie to you. So we're working on it. But hopefully the whole week, if you wanted to, you could spend some time with us each night if you wanted to, or just pick a night and have some content available to you. So, yeah. All right. Inquisitor Tom.
Commander Shipp.
Hey, I said beginning and end. I didn't use Inquisitor. Oh, shit. I was going to be like, that's going to be a mouthful. Like I said, y'all did not want to see me try to use Inquisitor. See, I gotta
Why do you have to say it like a southern dandy?
Inquisitor! Inquisitor Tom! Inquisitor Tom landed on the Mushroom Planet, and his,
Meanwhile, back at the Hall of Justice, Inquisitor Tom.
Now you gotta like Dragon Ball Z. You got abridged. You gotta do. Meanwhile, on King Kai's planet, kind of like. Oh man, just like that. Lenny Fitness gasps about. Yeah, I think it's gonna be a great video. I think it'll be awesome. And Lindy already knows some of the lines. I was throwing a few out there to them, so it'll be good. All right, folks, that's Commander Shipp show. We ran a little long, but thank you for enjoying that a couple hours with us. If you have not already hit subscribe on Twitch, on YouTube, or on Facebook, wherever you prefer to watch us at, make sure you do that. And until next week, I've been Commander Shipp. This is Inquisitor Major Tom. We will see you next Wednesday.